What's going on, everyone? I am Carlos from Hybrid Records, the channel where things don't always go as planned. I'll talk more about that coming up. Whew. All right, so it has been quite a week. And if you've been keeping up with us on social media, if you follow us on social media, then you probably know about that. Or if you subscribe to our newsletter, hybridrecordstx.com, red banner at the top to subscribe to the newsletter at hybridrecordstx on all your social media platforms. Subscribe to the channel, like the video, comment, do whatever. But just straight off the top, I am going to show some records and talk about some stuff that's going out in the shop on Friday. But that's not mainly what this video is about, and it's going to be a slightly longer video because of that, because I'm kind of tackling two things in one. But there's a reason for that. So if you want to get to the records, skip 5 or, I don't know, 10 minutes, whatever, into the video, and you'll just be looking at records. If you want to hear me talk, you can stay right here. But yeah, anyway, so the shop where things don't, or the channel where things don't go according to plan all the time. Something not so chill happened last week. If you saw the last video we posted, A, you'll probably be wondering where it went because it's not up on our channel anymore. And B, you probably expect this to be like a part 2, maybe showing some 45s from a big punk collection that we bought, stuff like that, which is not what I'm doing today, because it turns out that that collection was stolen. Yes, you heard me correctly, and the reason that I wanted to talk about it is because I feel like with the vinyl YouTube community, the vinyl community, the VC as some would call it, every video is, I found a psych rock grail in this collection, or I found a whole collection of just great stuff, or, you know, I found this one record I've been looking for forever. It's a $100 record and I only paid $5 for it. Every video is like rose tinted glasses, like the best case scenario. And you only ever get to see when things are going amazing, or at least that's the only thing people are really willing to talk about. But things don't always go super well. You don't always find stuff when you go out and dig. That's one reason why I like watching this channel, I Buy Old Records. Sometimes that guy posts videos and he doesn't find anything. I think that's cool. And so in this particular case, things did not go well for us at all. And yeah, so that's what happened with that. I mean, we bought a record collection that was stolen from somebody else, and that sucks. Like, that was, yeah, it sucked. And I'm not gonna get like super detailed about it because I just don't find it necessary, but basically the long and short of it is we bought a record collection. You know, clearly the people didn't really care all that much about the records. They clearly like weren't the original owners of said records. But in the industry that we're in, if you own a brick and mortar record store where people can come in off the street and sell you stuff, that happens all the time. They're records maybe that they were given as a gift. They're a dead relative's records. That happens all the time. And you know, there are a bunch of different kind of scenarios that we've run into over the almost 6 years we've been in business where somebody is selling us records that they did not go out and spend the time purchasing or whatever. And it is what it is when those things happen, you know, however they happen. But of course, when you see a collection of that caliber being sold by, you know, people that don't seem to really care about them all that much, you ask questions. And, you know, we got a lot of messages over the week, lots of kind messages from people that were bummed that something like this happened to us. But, you know, there were some times where people kind of insinuated that I just bought the records and didn't think anything of it, or I didn't bother asking follow-up questions, which is crazy. Like, I would like to think I'm a pretty decent judge of character, and I know the kinds of questions that need to be asked when you're buying stuff from a stranger that you've never met before. So in this particular case, those conversations happened. You know, without having any evidence to the contrary. The story was believable enough that, you know, we went ahead and made the buy. We made a YouTube video last week showing off a lot of the stuff. if you saw that video, you know it's a very specific group of records, very specific collection of artists, and time period and all of that kind of stuff came from a very specific shop that is not in the town that we are located in. So, you know, the person whose records they were obviously saw that, knew immediately. We had a conversation, you know, talked it out and everything like that. And we arrived at, you know, the logical conclusion, which is that this person got their stolen property back, because that's the way that that should work. And, you know, it's not the most ideal situation in the world. I'm sure it felt terrible to, like, you know, realize that you had been robbed and that something you cared so much about was all of a sudden taken from you. And, you know, I'm sure especially in the days before they saw our YouTube video, that thinking they were never going to get these things back was even worse a feeling than knowing that they had been taken in the first place. And, you know, I would never, especially if something like this happened to me or something was stolen from me, I wouldn't expect whoever, I found myself in a situation where a decent person came into possession of that property, I would, you know, be bummed if they were like, okay, here's the ransom price for your stuff that was taken from you and make me pay for it again. So, you know, it sucks because I paid money for that collection. I paid good money, and, you know, even I could have gotten away with paying less because, like I said, these obviously weren't these people's records. They didn't like care all that much. But at the same time, like, I paid them as much as realistically I could following, you know, we're in October right now. September is not a good time for retail. So it's, you know, not like we're swimming in cash or whatever. I still got a good deal on the batch, but I'm sure I could have paid less if I was that type of person. But I feel like people should be treated fairly. So I made what I felt like was the fairest offer that I could make. And because of that, I'm out more money than I would have been otherwise. So it's just like, I don't know, it's just a really bummer of a situation that in trying to, like, do right by someone who did someone else wrong, again, a stranger in this situation, that I got burned. Got burned bad, you know? But that's just the way it goes sometimes. Not every collection you buy is full of grails. And, you know, things happen, especially when you're buying random stuff from strangers that walked in off the street. You know, anything could happen. And yes, before you start asking, like, you know, we do have to get everyone's information that we buy from. So all that information was collected. I mean, there's plenty that can be done about it. Now we're just kind of, you know, I'm still in communication with the original owner of the records, and just kind of waiting for the authorities to do something about it, you know? Which hopefully they do. The conversation that I had was not a great one with the proper authorities that should be handling the situation. At one point, I was asked, well, what do you want us to do about it? Direct quote. That didn't put my mind at ease at all. I mean, it was like, what? I was so jarred by that question. But anyway, so if you saw that video and you saw the social media posts, that's kind of a slightly more detailed explanation of what happened. You know, I just want to be transparent with everybody, and just that's what went down, you know? If you're just some rando on YouTube that came across this video, just know that not everybody has as great of luck as they make it seem like they do on their YouTube channels. Stuff goes wrong every now and then. That is the way this game goes, you know? But all of that being said, a bunch of people have been selling stuff over the last week. I don't know what the deal is. On Friday, the day after I found out the collection we bought was stolen, I think 4 people sold stuff to us in just that one day. Saturday we made a buy. Monday we made a buy. Tuesday we made a buy. So a lot of new stuff has been coming in the shop, which is good. Kind of makes up for, you know, what would have been a huge drop last week didn't happen. Now we will have a decent amount, not a massive drop, but a decent amount of quality stuff going out. So now, is the record showing portion of the program. And because I talked so long about our mishap last week, I'll try to make this as quick as possible. But let's get straight to looking at records. All right, so like I said, it's been a bunch of different buys that have come in. So even some of the buys on their own were already a really mixed bag of like genres and artists and that kind of stuff, but then taking a bunch of eclectic buys together. And so it's a real hodgepodge of stuff. It's all sorts of different genres, time periods, conditions, all that kind of stuff. Now, a lot of the stuff I'm going to show you is in the $10 and up range because that's usually what I show. But that being said, I mean, probably already this week in going through everything, I've put out 50 to 100 records that are under $10 that are just more, you know, super common stuff that you see all the time, like Heart or, I mean, I can't think of anything off the top. Heart, Hall & Oates. I don't know why I'm living in the H section of the rock genre right now. But yeah, you know, stuff like that. So that stuff I'm not going to show you. That's stuff that you can't find on our website. It's stuff you have to come in and dig through the bins for. So if you're local, do that. There's definitely some good stuff to find, and some stuff where like maybe the cover is kind of trashed. You know, I think there was a Van Halen record that had a tear on the cover, and so that's like an under $10 record. The vinyl will play super well, but you know, good deals. So good deals to be had, good stuff that I'm about to show you. So let's just get straight into it. Again, this is going to be just like a big overview of like all the different types of stuff that you could expect to see. Not necessarily all crazy exciting stuff, but good titles that people ask for, some exciting stuff. So anyway, I'm really just trying to justify showing you an Eagles record right now in my mind, but I'm doing it to you out loud because anybody that knows me knows that I don't really like the Eagles, but Eagles greatest hits, you know, you see there's stuff like that. Earth, Wind & Fire, greatest hits, several copies of that, or it's the best of, several copies of that showed up. Steely Dan Asia, always a classic, you gotta have it. This is an under $10 record, but it's one that we haven't had in quite a while, even though we normally always have it. But, you know, Boston, self-titled. There's been a, in the dollar section, it's priced at 50 cents. There's a cover of this with no record in it that people keep looking at, and they get sad every time they realize it's only the cover. More Steely Dan, greatest hits in this case. Never Bad double LP set. Alice Cooper. I believe this is the second one, still when they were kind of a psych band. I don't know how well you can see it, but definitely not the shock rock that you came to know from him. There's a couple different Fleetwood Mac records. None of them are rumors or self-titled, but still interesting stuff. Let me find the other one real quick because I know it's in here. Here we go. Fleetwood Mac, English Rose. This is good Fleetwood Mac era right here. You know, Peter Green era. So that's a good one. Might keep that, probably won't, but would like to. This one I've never seen before. It came in a collection that was very like diverse and had a ton of different stuff in it, but this is Queen, A Night at the Odeon. Hammersmith, Odeon, I don't know what the difference is. Double LP, I mean, it's got Bohemian Rhapsody, Killer Queen, Brighton Rock, God Save the Queen. Interesting track listing, actually. Gatefold, kind of rare piece if you look it up on Discogs. Then there's some really killer reissue stuff. This is like a 180-gram reissue of a classic Van Morrison album, who unfortunately has made quite the fall from grace, fallen flat on his face, if you ask me. But, you know, you either live long enough to see yourself become a villain or die a hero, or however that goes. Motley Crue, don't see a ton of the Crue in the shop. That's a reissue as well. 180 gram. Howlin' Wolf, The Backdoor Wolf, 1973. Not a bad one. Judas Priest, right there. We love see that early Priest stuff. Laurie Anderson, this is a great, great, great record that if you don't own, you must. This is Thin Lizzy Live, not the one not Live and Dangerous, but you know, a different live collection. It's got Jailbreak on it, but they don't open with it. Boys Are Back in Town, Black Rose, it's got Renegade, lots of good stuff on that one. Don't see it all that much. Here's another one you don't see all that much. Plasmatics. Interesting one, Wendy O. Now this one I have not seen in the shop in a long time, and I'm really excited to listen to it before it goes out on the floor. This is an unofficial pressing, but this is Pet Sounds in the Key of D, the Beach Boys versus Jay Dilla mashup album. See, they photoshopped Jay Dilla in here on that one. And then now for some pretty cool stuff. This is kind of like the banger grand finale, I would say. Lots of really cool stuff. But here's one. Death Rosenstock. I believe this is a live Jeff Rosenstock album. That's a cool one. Another one you don't see all that often. This is a numbered edition by an artist who debatably has the rap album of the year title at the moment. This is Vince Staples. So that's killer. Yeah, gold stamp numbered right here at the bottom. Here's one for all the indie cinema fans out there. This is Sufjan Stevens, a 10-inch single from Call Me By Your Name. Mysteries of Love, limited edition of 10,000 copies. I believe they're numbered, are they? Yes, numbered copies. Here's one that I've never had a copy of, and I'm excited to see it come in the shop. It has a song by Telenovela on it, Lockhart Band, which is cool. Someone Still Loves You, Boris Yeltsin. Good stuff on this one. What is it, you ask? This is I Saved Latin, tribute to Wes Anderson. If you know me, you know that I love Wes Anderson. Very predictable and stereotypical of me, I know, but I won't apologize for it. Been a fan since Rushmore, or Royal Tenenbaums. Anyway, another film that I'm a huge fan of, soundtrack for, been out of print for a minute, It Follows. This is a great horror movie, came out in 2015, I believe. Very, very good. Music by Disaster Piece, absolutely killer soundtrack. A film that begs the question, why'd you spill your beans? Lighthouse. It's a used copy of that one. It's got that die-cut Lighthouse bit in there where you can see the light through the clear vinyl. That's pretty cool. This is a video game soundtrack for Fallout 3. Game I played a lot in high school. Not a lot, but some. Probably the soundtrack record of all of the soundtrack records. The most memeable soundtrack record. The Drive soundtrack. Boom, right there. This is the 5th anniversary edition. It's on neon pink colored vinyl, so that is very cool. Here is a must-own record that Kylie and I listened to the other day, or listened to my copy of it, which is not nearly as nice as this one. Getz and Gilberto. Gotta have it. Everybody should own it. And yeah, this is a reissue, probably of some audiophile quality, I would imagine. And then another very, very, very good jazz record. This is The Epic, Volumes 1, 2, and 3 by Kamasi Washington. You've got Kamasi, Thundercat, and a bunch of other people who I'm not going to act like I know off the top of my head, but Thundercat, all over the thing. Kamasi Washington, all over like To Pimp a Butterfly, and absolutely killer saxophone player. I really thought Robert Glasper was on this for some reason, but I was wrong. So that is very dope as well, and that is some of the stuff that you can expect, some of the kind of stuff you can get. Can't talk. That is some of the kind of stuff that you can expect to see if you come in the shop on Friday, or if you check out the website Friday evening. And yeah, it has been an unpleasant week at the shop, I will say. A very, very stressful week. And yeah, not everything always works out the way that you want it to. But everything always works out, I think. Hopefully. We'll see. So far, I'm feeling okay. Feel better that, the people who had their or the person who had their record stolen from them got them back. And, you know, that just is the way that it is. So, yeah. Anyway, this has been another video by us. I don't know. I haven't figured out. I really haven't landed on a solid sign off for these yet. But, yeah, we'll see you next time.